This is The Guy Gordon Show on News Talk 760 WJR.
Sitting in for Mitch, here's Kevin Dietz.
When Martin Luther King Jr. was killed on April 4th, 1968, his niece sat in her father's lap and shared her feelings of hating white people. Her dad rocked her in his arms and said, "White people march with us. They go to jail with us. They pray with us. They live with us. They die with us. White people did not kill your uncle. The devil did." That niece is Dr. Alveda King, and she's going to join us here shortly to talk with us today about her memories growing up with Martin Luther King Jr. and what it all means today. We were speaking with her prior to coming on the air, and she was talking about how important it is with the climate that we are in right now for everybody to move towards love and away from hate. We talked about the protests from the summer and what that was like. And then the Capitol, what happened there just this month. And what would Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. have thought of all of that? And while he would have been certainly disappointed, he would have said we have to move away from fighting so much with each other and from hating so much and move towards a place of working together and a place towards love. Today, both Gretchen Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist honored the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King by joining thousands of Michiganders in a day of service. Governor Whitmer participated in virtual events with the Heart of West Michigan United Way in Grand Rapids and remotely helped make blankets to distribute to those without housing. She also assembled activity kits for youth that must stay in isolation rooms and shelter with Peggy's Place in Detroit. The governor said, "Today we honor a true civil rights icon by giving back to our communities through a day of service. Let us use this month to not only remember the work of Dr. King and other Black activists who walked alongside him, but to also recognize the many Michiganders who continue his work to this day." She said, "Although this year looks different, I encourage everyone to find creative ways they can safely give back today and throughout the year." The lieutenant governor spent the day with Meals on Wheels in the morning, preparing meals for delivery to Detroit residents. In the afternoon, he was attending to Meals on Wheels up in Flint. And the lieutenant governor said, "Dr. King stood here in Michigan 58 years ago and outlined what we can do to help eliminate hate and injustice. And if we are going to change this state and this country, it will take every one of us stepping up and doing our part." He said he was honored to do his part on behalf of the state, and he serves proudly, and he encourages all those who are able to give back to organize and carry on the ideas of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's bring in Mike Parsons and Laura Hessen to talk a little bit about this. As you watch what has been going on in the world, whether it was this summer or whether it was earlier this month at the Capitol, and you watch day after day as Democrats and Republicans just can't seem to get along, do you think there is any chance or any opportunity for people to work together better, to be optimistic? Dr. Alveda King said that she prays for all presidents, and she supports President Trump on several issues, and she supports Democratic presidents on several issues, and that she prays for all of them to be successful. Do you think we're just in a place that we are too far past that, or do you think we could ever get back to that where you're optimistic for the other party, even though you're hopeful that you'll win back power?
I hope we're not past it, but I think it depends on whether or not people want to work for it.
I mean, I think what happened at the Capitol, was it last week or 2 weeks ago now, on the day they were certifying the results,
the 6th,
and things got out of hand. I kind of feel like that was a tipping point. I feel like, the climate recently was kind of building up towards that, and it was such a release and such an out of control burn, for lack of a better word, that I think a lot of people that made a lot of people step back and say, okay, things have gotten out of hand, and what do we do to correct the course? Now, of course, you're going to get the same people. You're going to get some people who are beyond that point, but I think for most people watching it, whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, I think a lot of people watching that saying, okay, things have gotten out of control, and we have to figure out a way to channel and change this constructively.
Yeah, it just seems like we could get so much more accomplished rather than just completely rooting against the other party and in some cases actively taking actions that hurt the other party. It seems like you'd be, hey, we're all Americans first. Let's do the best we can. If we disagree with the other side, fine. Let's come up with better ideas. Let's do better at getting more people out to vote. But if not, let's do what we can to help the other side so that we can be the best version of a country that we can be. And the last 4 years were very, very difficult. I mean, it just seemed that we were at odds with each other every single day of the entire 4 years.
Well, the frustrating part is both sides have to agree upon it, because if it's just one side trying to get us back towards civility and the other side, is continuing the same political gamesmanship, the side that doesn't agree to try to come together, they're going to be at a disadvantage, because the other side will be using the same old political tricks, and they'll essentially have their arms tied behind their back. So, it can't be Republicans out there saying, okay, let's get back to civility. It can't be Democrats out there saying, let's get back to civility. They both have to agree to get back to civility, or it's not going to work.
I agree with that, but we also have to make sure that we're not letting just all these talking heads that are sometimes the minority, not always, but sometimes the minority, do all the talking for these groups.
Well, I mean, anger sells, and I think that's another big problem. I mean, a lot of outlets, ours included, our job essentially is to get as many people listening or watching as possible. And there's some people who do that, putting forth a good product, putting forth something of value to people. And then there's other outlets who go for the low-hanging fruit, and they just sell anger and fear, hoping that people will, share. I call them anger clicks, anger shares and anger clicks. So, yeah, I mean, Laura's right. I mean, anger media has become a huge industry in this country, and it's become a big problem as well.
I think more people are paying attention to politics than ever before since Donald Trump was elected. And I think a lot of young people, more than before, are paying attention. And I just hate to think of people who are new to politics, or especially young people who are paying attention to politics for the first time, think this is how it works. You just go after the other side with everything you have, no matter how much it hurts the overall good, so that you can get back into power. It's a frightening message, and I hope that it is just a few loudest voices and not what most people think. But you hear an awful lot of it. It's something to be concerned about. It would be very interesting to see what Martin Luther King Jr. thought about our current state of politics. You're listening to The Guy Gordon Show. We have much more coming up. We're going to take a quick break so that we can check traffic with Michael Stetz.
Primetime Testing Laboratory. In need of testing that automotive project, Primetime Testing Labs are the industry's best in complete automotive testing services. They guarantee on-time delivery, accurate result reporting, and are A2LA accredited. For your automotive project, get a free quote at primetimetestinglab.com. That's primetimetestinglab.com. In the city, the entrance and exit ramps closed right now on 75 northbound at Springwell Street due to construction. That's scheduled through February 26th. And also in the city, the on-ramp closed right now on 75 southbound at the Ambassador Bridge due to a rolled over semi. Traffic being diverted to 75 northbound as a result. Expect major delays in the area. Now, WJR Weather first.
Mostly cloudy skies and cold here this afternoon. A few flurries, even a couple of light snow showers possible. Temperatures holding rather steady in the low to mid-30s. Mid-upper 20s tonight, cloudy tomorrow, low 30s. Colder Wednesday, a little sunshine mixing in with the clouds. Highs only in the upper 20s. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ken Boone on News Talk 760 WJR.
Guy Gordon.
All right, Michael? Oh, he's gone.
Hello.
Hey, Mike.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah. So it's weird because we tested before and you sounded fine. That first one sounded odd again, but I'm just going to let it ride here because I know we restarted and maybe it might just be something that happens because it might just be something that happens at this time.
That
So
could
we'll
be.
see, what's that? Yeah. So we'll see if at 26 or whenever we go to traffic if it's better, because I know we tested at 245 and it sounded fine. So
Let me know, and then I could always reboot or whatever.
right.
Paul is there, Kevin.
Okay. Well, we're batting 500.
That's right. It's all right. I like getting down early.
Right. Just jump in, get the show rolling. Did we also intro it as the Mitch Album Show?
Yes.
Well, good. That was Mitch's fault then. Now that we're back to the Guy Gordon Show, we're going to get it all right.
You know, I keep telling Mitch to stop putting his rejoiners on my button, and he doesn't listen. I've told him time and time again. Well, let's see. Patrick's happy to see you there, Kev.
Hello, good Facebook friends.
So
Patrick's
that's what
here,
we
Thomas.
call producing on the fly.
Keeping your head on a swivel.
That's right.
That's people who think it's funny to say they'll be there and not show.
Yeah.
I'd like to give a props to everybody working. Well, everyone cheering their day off today. We're all here working.
Absolutely. I wonder if King is in a different time zone and didn't get the Eastern Standard part of that.
You know,
I think
you know
she's
where
in
she's located?
Georgia. I think she's in Georgia. Is Georgia on our?
Yeah,
They're
Georgia's
definitely
off.
the same time zone.
Yeah.
But the number of people that think Detroit is not Eastern blows my mind.
I dealt with that a lot, Laura, when I moved here. Everybody was like, "You're not 1 hour behind." I'm like, "No, I'm on the East Coast, just like you guys." ET.
Well, we're far away from New York and Boston, so people probably just think that it's a different time zone because it's a
Right.
12-hour drive.
Isn't parts of the UP go into the?
I
An
think
hour
so.
back?
There's a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I think it's the part that doesn't use electricity. All right, let's see.
We coming back?
30 seconds. I'm taking our first guest info off, and I know I'm going to regret it because probably we'll scramble to get it back up.
Get it back up.
Yeah,
Oh well, it's one of those days. It's the holiday.
that's right.
For those of you getting paid, maybe you get time and a half. For us volunteers, we just.
I don't know what that means.
What's time?
Legal residents in the U.S. and D.C. of age of majority. End 2/4/2021, 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. The NFL entities as defined in the official rules have not offered or sponsored this promotion in any way.
This is the Guy Gordon Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
There was concern of possible problems at capitals all across the country, including here in Michigan. Security got beefed up, fences were put up, the National Guard was called in many cases. There was a lot of concern about protests that would come to light over the weekend. As it turned out in Michigan, a dozen or so self-described members of the Boogaloo Boys openly carried rifles and handguns, but there were no problems. They wore masks and they spoke briefly outside the fence to reporters, and police reported really no problems, which was a wonderful thing. Joining us now is Paul Egan of the Detroit Free Press. He covers Lansing like a blanket, and I wanted to talk to him a little bit about the lead-in up to the protests and what's going on between now and Inauguration Day. Paul, thanks for calling in.
Sure, Kevin. Hi.
For people at home who aren't in the newsrooms, they probably don't realize how tricky it is to prepare for coverage for a story like this, where something is anticipated that could happen, yet you don't know if it's going to, and you have to make sure that reporter safety is first and foremost. Can you tell us a little bit about what the buildup was around Lansing over the past couple of weeks and then leading up to Sunday?
Sure. I think it's maybe one of those situations where news organizations are a little bit in a situation similar to the police, where you're not necessarily expecting anything huge or dramatic, but you really have to prepare for that just in case. So, we certainly had a large team of reporters in Lansing on Sunday. I mean, I'm here already, but we sent some reporters and photographers from Detroit just to, make sure we had everything covered. And the main reason, I think, was because of what happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, where this terrible, this thing just completely went out of control. People were killed, and you had the prospect of people ransacking the U.S. Capitol, which is pretty amazing. And certainly we weren't expecting the same thing to happen here, but there were, the FBI had put out bulletins, and there were concerns that there could be trouble, there could be armed protesters, and so we just made sure we would be ready if something like that happened.
And that's the thing. The FBI is monitoring chatter. Social media sites are being monitored, and people are on there talking about getting together and showing up. And there's a lot of angry speech in some cases. And so you have to prepare for the worst. If you don't have the people there, you can't scramble and get them at the last minute. We saw what happened in Washington, D.C. So how did Lansing look different, in the past week versus, several months ago?
Well, first of all, the Capitol has been pretty much locked down. You really can't get into the building unless the legislature is in session, and certainly the legislature was not in session on Sunday, and they were scheduled to be in session tomorrow and Wednesday, but they really won't be. And that's, for the same reason, that there's concerns that there could be trouble right up to Inauguration Day, which is Wednesday, and possibly beyond. But I think Wednesday is is when most people are hoping that this will die down. So that's one thing. The building's locked down. That's unusual. On Friday, they put up a 6-foot-high fence around the building, close to the building, so you still have access to the front lawn where most of these demonstrations take place. This is really not a sturdy fence. It's a temporary fence. It seems to be, it's something that would be a sort of a crowd control situation. It wouldn't, people wouldn't be able to just sort of, run roughshod towards the doors or anything like that. Perhaps it's partly symbolic. And then on Sunday we had, huge police presence, Michigan State Police, with a lot of, armor and guns and also the Michigan National Guard, the governor activated. There was a large number of Humvees and other military vehicles parked behind the Capitol, where, most people would not have seen them because it's not on a street where you can drive by. It's kind of a walkway, a pedestrian walkway between government buildings that were closed. But a few of them were also blocking streets in Lansing. So, Kevin, it was something. I mean, I've been here a while. I covered the right to work demonstration, which was, certainly in terms of large numbers of people, there were mounted police. There were some punches thrown at that. That was in 2012. But in terms of military and police presence, I think Sunday was the biggest I've ever seen at the Capitol, and it may be the biggest that there's been, at least in recent history.
And it's an odd feeling if you don't go to the Capitol or haven't been to the Capitol. It feels like a small little town. Lansing is not a massive, busy, bustling place necessarily, and you feel like you can maneuver around town real easily. So when security does get to this level, it's an odd feeling when you see windows being boarded up. It's a little. It throws you back a little bit. Did you have an opportunity to talk to police at all, or any of the protesters? What were they saying throughout the day?
There were a number of different reasons that brought the public out. But you're right. I should have mentioned that there were a number of stores even blocks away. Some of them boarded up their windows just in case on Saturday. But I talked to people that were there. They said out of curiosity that they wanted to see what happened. They thought that recent events were historic and they wanted to be witnesses to it. We talked to this self-described Boogaloo group. It's not a real, it's not a group that necessarily has membership cards. It's just almost a kind of a movement, and they're, that's an interesting group. I'm not an expert on these, but there's been some pretty good articles in the Atlantic Monthly about it recently. They're not necessarily even pro-Trump. They're basically anti-government, sort of an anarchist group that's basically, looking for a kind of a conflict to break down society, some kind of a civil war that would basically tear down existing structures. And they read a manifesto talking about government overreach and that sort of concerns. There were pro-Trump people there. There was some waving Trump flags and that sort of thing. There were entrepreneurs. There was a man there trying to sell Trump paraphernalia and anti-Whitmer signs. He didn't seem to be doing a booming business because, the state police estimated there were only maybe like 20 protesters there tops. I think their estimate was a little light, but it was not out of line. There was definitely more media there than there were demonstrators, and there were far more police than there were, reporters and demonstrators combined.
Yeah, and you want to make sure people have the ability and the right to exercise free speech. At the same time, after seeing what happened at the Capitol, you understand why there was an abundance of caution, and hopefully things will stay peaceful between now and Wednesday and thereafter. But definitely interesting time to be up there. As you said, more security than you've seen in all your years up there. So we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your being there to help report it, even if it ended up being a quiet day. All the better. Paul Egan, Detroit Free Press, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here on The Guy Gordon Show. We'll be back with more. Right now, let's check traffic with Michael Stetz.
This report is brought to you by Positive Coaching Alliance. Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit pcadevzone.org.
In the city, the on-ramp closed right now on 75 southbound at the Ambassador Bridge. That's due to a rolled over semi. Traffic being diverted right now to 75 northbound as a result. Also in the city, the entrance and exit ramps closed right now due to construction on 75 northbound at Springwell Street. That construction scheduled through February 26th. And in Oakland County, the off-ramp closed right now on 75 northbound at 14 Mile due to construction. That's scheduled through early April. Now WJR Weather first. From the Weather Channel, sponsored by North Bloomfield Properties. If you're looking for a place to call home, let North Bloomfield Properties find the best place for you and your family. They also provide pre-screened quality tenants to their property owners. They love to match good people to good homes. Contact them today, northbloomfield.com. A low of 36 tonight, light rain early on tonight. Some flurries or snow showers possible. Mostly cloudy for Tuesday with a high tomorrow of 35. Right now it's 35 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 1 minute.
When Nicole's daughter was 18, she got the phone call every parent dreads.
Leah.
Well, no clue, Mike. That sounded just fine. So that must be a glitch or something at that exact time every day. Yeah.
Ghost of the machine working against us.
I know. Just tell all your neighbors to stay off the internet between 3 and 3:15 if they could.
Hey, can you check just the weather bed, Mike? It sounded a little low.
It's probably just low coming in there.
Okay, because I don't know if it was my end, but for a second I thought you dumped me, but then I was like, oh no, there it is.
Yeah.
Work from home.
That's right. This is the behind the scenes content people right. Come here for.
We should work on look, they're calling for the Corbetts.
Oh man, you got your piece of paper, Michael?
Here it is.
There we go.
The Corbetts.
That's the name of our chit-chatting now between the shows, or between the topics. Steve Brown is a master of branding.
Yeah.
Yes, but did you bring your Corbetts topics today? That's the question.
We just kind of let it happen.
Yeah. It's best to just let it organically flow, Kevin. Come
Yeah.
on, you're a seasoned, savvy vet of the Corbetts.
I know. I was hoping you guys would bring up Drew Brees' tears as he was passing the baton over after their loss last night.
He was a legend. He's a legend.
Passing the baton on to who?
To the new quarterback, because he's going to retire.
Oh,
James
is that going to
Winston.
be? I was going to say, is that going to be Taysom Hill or James Winston?
That's
That
gonna
was
be
a nice. That was a nice video. Could you imagine? Okay, your dad's Drew Brees, and you don't care because he's your dad, and then pretty much the only person who could probably impress you if you're Drew Brees' kid is Tom Brady coming on the field after the show,
throwing him
after the
touchdown
game.
passes. That was cool.
I thought
And
that
then
was
he's
awesome.
walking away. He's like, "We go to your sister" or something like that.
Wait, what's that?
He was like, "Be nice to your sister" or something like that. It was pretty funny.
Stay in school.
Say no.
No, all the games were good. All the games were good over the weekend. My picks, by the way, 4-0.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Stets is on fire.
With the points or just?
I was
just picking
4-0
winners?
straight up and 3-1 against the spread. So at
pick
the first 2
Cleveland?
weeks, the first 2 weeks I'm actually 10-0 and 7-3 against the spread.
Well, it's good, Mike, because online sports betting is coming up later on in the show. You may want to pay attention.
Yeah,
That's
Dave
right.
Dave Rieger and I combined hit a parlay. So,
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, it was fun for me and Kingpin. Did a little
Nice.
parlay.
Let's see.
Is that why he doesn't have to work today? He's rolling in dough.
Yeah, he quit.
Wasn't that big of a win. We're going to roll it over to some more bets next week, but Dave will be working.
Dave's so confident in his gambling that he quit his job to be a pro gambler now.
Yeah. Oh man! Did you
Still
see the Tiger Woods documentary, Kevin?
No, but I want to. I got somebody told me they enjoyed it. They thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, my wife and I watched both parts. The second part was last night. It's outstanding. Really good.
Was it better than The Last Dance?
I wouldn't put it on that level just because the Last Dance was all encompassing with like multiple parts. But I
Is
thought
it 2 episodes too long, like The Last Dance?
ooh, hot take.
That's the same way I felt about Tiger King. I have the same take on both.
Yeah, well, I thought The Last Dance was cool because you need some, getting everything in that in like a 2-hour documentary. The stuff would have been left out, So I like that they're kind of experimenting in that form now.
Did Tiger have final cut like
No, it's
Michael
not.
Jordan did? Because
He declined to participate, and it is not sanitized in any way. They go
What?
over a lot
Honestly,
of
that's the best way to do
Yes.
a documentary like that. Not having the subject actually having final creative say.
Yeah, no, he's not that in any way. They get into his demons, stuff with his father growing up, and what kind of led to his behavior, and it's really
What is that on? Is that on HBO Max?
HBO Max. Yep.
it's always kind of interesting because you kind of know the stories, but then you forget about them, and then they come back to you when you watch one of those.
Well, there was a lot of things I did. I mean, obviously, everybody knows about the scandal with the women and everything, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't know about him involving his father and some of the other injury stuff he had to work through. And he was like training with like the Marines and like Navy SEALs and stuff, and people he was just delving into other things to escape from golf and the limelight,
Right.
which he had been in since he was a kid.
All right, 25 seconds, sir.
And Kevin, yes, the doctor is there, and his first name is Matthew.
Okay, great.
It's Oxford Recovery Center.
And everybody's so friendly, too. That's one thing that Leah remarks all the time. Everyone here's so nice.
The new Brighton facility or in Troy at 248-486-3636 or visit oxfordrecoverycenter.com.
Don't ever give up.
Oxford Recovery Center, where healing begins.
This is The Guy Gordon Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
Well, it has made its way to Michigan. A Washtenaw County woman has contracted a coronavirus variant that is believed to be the more contagious one. The state health department says that appears to be the case. The woman had recently traveled to the United Kingdom where the variant originated and is now the only known case of B117 here in Michigan. 16 other states also have been identified as having that variant. While the woman is only known case here in the state, it's possible there could be more that have not been identified. 2 new COVID-19 cases have been confirmed from close contact with this woman, but we do not know yet whether the COVID they have is this new B117 or the original COVID. Joining us on the line now is Dr. Matthew Sims of Beaumont Hospital. Doctor, thanks for being on the show.
Happy to be here.
This is interesting because, we've been battling the original COVID and everybody's been working hard. And as they hear of a variant coming along, it concerns them. And I know there's been some talk about how the vaccine will work, but people they're just nervous, they're concerned, they're scared. What can you share with us about this variant, especially now that it's in Michigan, and will it spread like the first one did?
Sure. Well, we don't know a tremendous amount about what's different in this variant yet. We know the changes, the genetic changes that are there, but exactly what it does to the way the virus functions, we only know so much so far. It appears to be more contagious. That's the big thing that people keep talking about. It also appears that the vaccine still protects against it, which is also a really important thing. The thing to remember is viruses, all sorts of viruses, not just COVID, change through, as they infect people, as they spread. With COVID, because there's so much of it around right now, millions of cases, we're seeing that change happen faster as it spreads. Because, if it changes 1 in 1,000 times that it spreads, let's say, and something is only out there 10,000 times, well, you'll see 10 changes. But if it's out there 1 million times, you're going to see a lot more changes. If it's out there 10 million times, you're going to see a lot more changes. So part of it is that we're seeing the changes much faster because there's so much of the virus around. Now, the real key is, what do these changes mean? Viruses change all the time. The flu changes. That's part of why we have new vaccines every year for the flu. Other viruses change. HIV changes so rapidly that inside one person, there's always many, many different copies of the virus. They actually call it a quasi.
The doctor was mentioning about the flu, and as we try and get him back, that's one thing I was curious about.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yep, I can hear you again. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you couldn't hear me. I was saying, so the flu changes. That's part of why we need a new vaccine every year. HIV changes so much that within one person, they have many different copies of the virus. And they even call it a quasi-species because there's so many different ones there. So this is something we see with lots of viruses. It's just with COVID, while we're actively fighting the pandemic, these changes may mean more.
So when you look at, when we talk about the flu, sometimes they'll say, oh, this year there's going to be like a super strain. This one's going to be really bad. And other years they might say it won't be as bad maybe this year because of the strain of it. Is that the kind of thing we'll be looking at as we go forward with COVID? Will we?
Yeah, exactly. So COVID, the vaccine's here. The vaccine is hopefully going to help us get it under control. COVID's not going to go away completely. It's going to be out there as a virus that, people are going to get infected with and hopefully nowhere near the numbers we have now. But as it potentially changes, as other coronaviruses come out, in the last two to 3 decades, we've had 3 major coronavirus outbreaks. We had SARS, and then we had MERS, and now we have COVID. And each of them has been different. There may be new coronaviruses in the future. But as we see these things, the keys are going to be, how fast does it spread? Does it spread when people are symptomatic or when people are asymptomatic? How deadly is it? How sick does it make people? These are what populations does it affect? Does it only affect older people? Does it affect younger people? Does it affect kids? These are the kind of questions that are important when we think about new strains of a virus. And with this new strain of COVID, what we know is it seems to be spread faster. It does seem to infect children more. but it doesn't seem to be deadlier in and of itself. Of course, if it spreads faster, we're going to see more patients who die, because even if, the same percentage die, because there's more of it around, we're going to see overall more deaths. And if it is spread so fast that it starts overwhelming the hospitals again, that in and of itself can cause more death.
Is it the kind of thing that we can slow down with the social distancing, with washing our hands, or is it just like the other one, even when we're trying our best, it's still going to find its way onto the next host?
Just like with COVID, the original COVID, the same things will help us keep it under control. Social distancing, avoiding crowds, washing your hands, wearing masks, cough etiquette, stay home when you're sick, all of these things. Now, those things work for COVID too, but when people break the rules, when people have big gatherings, when people say, it's okay if we have a small get together, I trust all these people. It's not a matter of trust. It's a matter of whether somebody happens to be infected with the virus. And those are the things that let it spread. Larger gatherings, uncontrolled gatherings, places where there are no masks, that causes the virus to spread, whether it spreads symptomatically where everybody knows they got it, or asymptomatically until it gets to people who it makes them sick. Those are, that's why we don't have COVID under control now.
So I know it just got here.
Needed to control the new strain.
I know it just got here to Michigan, but is this something hospitals have to think about? If this thing starts taking off, we have to be prepared for large numbers of people coming into the hospital at the same time?
It is. I mean, we're prepared for that as best we can already, just from the normal strain of COVID that was with us all along. Each hospital has readiness plans. They have ways of dealing with things. They've been vaccinating their staff. They've got plans in place on how to deal with surges. But, we've been fortunate so far that, in this area, we were very close to the edge back in April. But in this surge, this part of the state's done well, but the western part of the state and the Upper Peninsula hasn't done as well, where they've been a little more overloaded. But look at Southern California. They're so overloaded, they're starting to, have to make decisions on who's getting care, and which hospitals can receive new patients and which ones can't. Those are very dangerous times.
All right. We appreciate you coming on, Dr. Matthew Sims, Beaumont Hospital. Thanks for being on the show.
Of course. Happy to.
All right. After the break, we're going to take your calls, 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. Right now, we're going to check in on traffic with Michael Stetz.
This report is sponsored by Walgreens. Why Walgreens for your Medicare prescriptions? Convenient refill and pickup options, expert pharmacists who know you and your medications, and low-cost copays. Trust Walgreens for your Medicare prescriptions.
In the city, the on-ramp closed right now on 75 southbound at the Ambassador Bridge due to a rolled over semi. Traffic being diverted right now to 75 northbound. Expect delays there. And in Oakland County, the off-ramp closed right now on 75 northbound at 14 Mile due to construction. That's scheduled through early April. Now Wjr Weather first from the Weather Channel.
Cloudy and cold for us here this afternoon with a few flurries or even a light snow shower possible. Temperatures holding rather steady in the low to mid 30s. Cloudy tonight, upper 20s. Mostly cloudy skies tomorrow. Afternoon highs, low 30s. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ken Boone on News Talk 760 WJR.
Hi, I'm Connie Holzer. We know you can buy.
Well, I guess we're going to play a game of how fast can Kevin reboot his computer.
Hopefully he doesn't run into an update like me a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
You're like, Steph, can you reboot? And all of a sudden it went to a update that was previously scheduled. It just went to auto. And I was like, no.
Yeah, I was saying to Laura, I said, I'm going to ask him if he could do it during the news when we have more time. But hey, Clay, long time no see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see. Let's see. He's got. I can give him an extra minute. He's got like 3 minutes. Let's see how fast this thing reboots.
The clock starts now.
What was the issue he was having? Do we know?
I don't. It's I think that Dr. Sim said, "Can you hear me?" I didn't hear him say, "I can't hear you" or
I didn't
anything.
hear any of Kevin's issues. I just noticed that there was a little communication on their end.
Well, let's see who we're interviewing here. If he doesn't come back, let's see.
We don't have an interview. It's open lines.
Oh, it's open lines.
Open line.
Okay. Let's just pump the phone number a lot and just say thanks for the call before going to the next one.
Now might be the time to roll out your stand-up.
I'm more of a wisecracker than a set writer.
You know, I've always had 3 minutes of stand-up ready for this moment. All of a sudden, Parsons just starts ripping.
Yeah. I always thought a great stand-up routine would be a bunch of setups with no punchlines.
Ooh.
Be like, any of you fellas out there married? Woo, woo. And then I just go on to the next thing without a payoff. It'd be avant-garde.
Oh, man.
You know, this isn't. I think Kevin left Rich and Dave alone on a commercial break. Yes.
I think you two can more than handle filling in some time.
Yeah. 1-800-859-0957. Who's sick of babies? I know I am. Just something that would get the lines going. I hate every dog but my own. 1-800-859-0957. Call in.
Start throwing out political hot takes.
Right.
See how fast the lines light up.
I think Poon would make a great president. 1-800-859-0957. I got a minute left. Oh, thank God.
Hello.
He returns.
I was about. Go ahead, Laura. I'm sorry.
We have no calls.
What's that?
We have no calls.
Okay. We will have to talk about something then.
Yeah.
Our job.
I was about to start a topic on Putin for president, yay or nay, 800-85, just to get the phones ringing. Something unpopular that would get the phones ringing.
All right. Well, that'd be good.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So thank God you're back, Kevin.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Is a hot dog, in fact, a sandwich? Your calls, 1-800.
Is cereal soup? Is cereal dessert? Oh.
Siri took that seriously.
Siri, okay. Siri from Mike's phone, you're on. All right, here we come. We're back.
Control back of their lives, creating a better and stronger community.
This is The Guy Gordon Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
All right, we're going to open up the phone lines. If you'd like to join us, the number's 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. The National Guard will be in Washington, D.C. to help with security for Wednesday's inauguration, but the FBI is still concerned about an insider attack. The agency is in the process of vetting Guard troops stationed in the nation's capital, while the Army is working with the Secret Service to determine if any additional background screening is needed. Up to 25,000 Guard troops have been deployed to Washington, D.C. for this week, more than the number of U.S. troops currently stationed in Iraq and Afghanistan. They are concerned about possible problems again on Wednesday for the inauguration of Joe Biden. We talked to Paul Egan a little earlier in the show about plans to keep Michigan State Capitol secure and how they were concerned about something happening over the weekend, and nothing really did. A few dozen protesters, more police than protesters, and everything was calm and quiet. Let's bring in Mike Parsons and Laura Hesson to talk a little bit about the upcoming inauguration. Do you guys expect things will be quiet? Have we, what happened earlier this month was so traumatic and trying. Is that the end of it? Are people ready to move on now without violence, without protests that involve breaking windows, breaking into buildings, setting things on fire?
Yeah, for the most part, I do think it is. I said in the first segment, I think that January 6th was kind of a tipping point where, you're still going to have some people trying to use violence as a way of protest. But I think by and large, I think that was a wake-up call for a lot of people. I mean, you just kind of look what happened between now and Sunday. A lot of groups that were planning on marching on Lansing yesterday decided to call it off because they saw how out of hand it got. And really, I mean, the people who were there trying to legitimately protest, the violence hijacked their message. So I think that Inauguration Day will be quiet. And I know there's a lot of Congress people who they're not necessarily worried about Wednesday. They're worried about what happens, once the National Guard is no longer there and all the safety precautions are no longer in place.
Yeah, I'm glad to see the 25,000 National Guard troops that are there and are going to be in the area. I think it's definitely better to be safe than sorry. You can't exactly, if you don't have enough, you have problems if something comes up. If you have too many, well, you have too many, and maybe it was costly and whatnot. But at least you were able to keep things under control. And it's interesting, though, that they're concerned about an inside job of some sort where the FBI is actively looking at who's working there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, are they getting intelligence that that's a possibility, or is it just an overt abundance of caution?
I think it's an overabundance of caution, but it's something they are looking at and talking about. So you have to have some concern about it, for them to be going that far. Let's check in with the callers. The number, by the way, is 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. Let's check in with Tom in Clinton Township. Tom, welcome to the Guy Gordon Show.
Yeah.
Tom, go ahead.
Hi. I'm just a little concerned today about this vetting of the National Guard. What questions would they be asking the National Guard? When you're vetting, you're asking questions. They've already been vetted to get into the military. Then they're going to ask questions about who you voted for. How about your social media platform? Then my question is, if they're looking at my social media platform, who's judging my social media platform? How have we gone to the point where we don't even trust our own military? Help me, please. I'm lost as a corporal in the United States Marine Corps.
Well, do you think any background checking needs to be done, or do you think whatever background check was originally done or whatever was needed originally is enough, that they don't have to have any concern about it? Or do you think this is specific to maybe something they've seen in somebody's profile?
Sure. I'm sorry to cut you off. When I joined the Marine Corps, it was 35 years ago. It took me 7 days of processing at MCRD San Diego, 7 days of 8 hours to 10 hours of questioning, filling out papers, re-asking questions. They know everything about my health, my education, my welfare. What more questions do they ask other than, who did I vote for president?
Is that what you think they're doing?
I'm sorry?
Is that what you think they're doing right now? Do you think that's what the vetting process is right now, to see who you voted for?
That's my question. What are those questions that they're asking those 30,000 National Guard troops down there that have no ammunition?
Well, I hope they're not asking them who they voted for. I guess we'll find out after the vetting process. Tom, thanks for calling. We appreciate it. Thanks for your service. Kevin in Port Huron, thanks for calling the Guy Gordon Show.
Well, thanks for having me on, Kevin. I just listened to your doctor from Beaumont. I have a question millions of people in my area and throughout the country probably would like to ask. With SARS and all the previous viruses, colds, etc., we know what the reaction was. Why are we overacting now for this COVID? Is it political, or did we not act properly last time? What do you think?
With the second strain, or just where we're at right now?
Well, we've never reacted to any virus like we just did, with millions of people out of work, losing their jobs, period. And we're just overreacting. What's with COVID that wasn't with the rest that we have to act the way we're doing now?
Yeah, it is interesting because if people who would say, "Oh, this is all political. This was about the election of Donald Trump or politics in general," I'm not sure, because I'm not sure that, like, if you take Michigan and Governor Gretchen Whitmer, people have criticized her heavily, saying that she's making decisions she's making solely for political reasons, but she hasn't really changed course now that the election is over. There's no more voting taking place. The votes have been cast. It's over. So if it was all political, wouldn't governors open up everything and get their states back economically? Because at some point, if the economy's tanked, the governor's going to have to deal with that when she runs for election next year.
Said, nothing was ever reacted like this with SARS and the other viruses your doctor mentioned. So we have to be looking at something more than just the natural course of events with politicians. There's got to be more than that, even if it's who you voted for. I don't care. But none of the states have ever reacted like they have for COVID compared to those past viruses. And I just know a lot of people where I'm at are going, why did that happen?
Kevin, I might be with you, but the whole world shut down. I mean, there are some countries who didn't, but for the most part, the whole world reacted the same way, and the whole world wasn't involved in U.S. politics. So I don't know. I believe that they're more concerned that the hospitals were going to get overrun, that there would be so many people in the hospitals that they wouldn't be able to handle it. And I think they decided they had to step in and do something. But we appreciate your call. We're going to check traffic right now with Michael Stetz, and then we'll be back after the break.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. It's the year-end sale at Mattress Firm. For a limited time, save up to $300 on top-rated mattress brands. Plus, get a free adjustable base with your $6.99 mattress purchase. Only during the year-end sale at Mattress Firm.
In the city, the on-ramp closed right now on 75 southbound at the Ambassador Bridge due to a rolled over semi. Traffic being diverted right now to 75 northbound. Expect delays there. Also in the city, the entrance and exit ramps closed due to construction on 75 northbound at Springwell Street. That construction is scheduled through February 26th. Then in Oakland County, the off-ramp closed on 75 northbound at 14 Mile due to construction. That runs through early April. Now WJR weather first. From the Weather Channel, light rain early on tonight. Some flurries or snow showers possible. A low of 29 tonight. Mostly cloudy for Tuesday with a high tomorrow of 36. Right now it's 35 degrees.
Most homeowners don't spend much time thinking about their heating, cooling, or plumbing systems. They expect them to work as they should, when they should. At Thornton & Grooms, we've been focused on the needs of Metro Detroit's homeowners for over 80 years. We've built our reputation on doing the right thing for our...
Well, hello.
Oh, there we go.
Would you have itchy tricky finger?
No, I got to hit the network.
Oh.
I was trying to do it like where it sounded natural.
My bad.
So Rogalski just kind of took the day off, huh?
His internet's down, I guess. Mark Gardner, good to see you.
I had that time too, Mike. That's weird.
Well, what does your time say?
It was at like 1:20 and change. I must have started it late.
No, what is your time right now?
Oh, my bad. 3:58.
Yeah, I got 3:58, 54, 55, 56. Excuse me.
I just got 3:59, so I must be a few seconds. So.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll when I hit my stopwatch, I'll shoot for 5 seconds before.
Okay. Yeah, and that way I'll have something to fill with. Yeah.
Give you a little wiggle room there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like hitting that button, but it's tough with the new
Yeah, I didn't realize we were running network today, so that's on me.
No big deal.
Hey, we got the forecast in.
That's right. Patrick says hi, Stutz.
Hey, Patrick.
See, this is where everyone finds us. This is where, people are used to, well, this in the morning show, people are used to finding Kevin.
Yes, that's the new game. Find me.
Right.
Am I
We're on the
in Mitch's
world
spot? Am I in Paul's spot? My guy's spot?
Right.
Frank's spot? I'm all over the place.
Where's Waldo is out? Where's Kevin is in?
That's right.
Patrick has a point. If you as far as getting vetted, if you got vetted when you first got into the military, and it was 25 years ago, who knows where your head's at right now. But it is interesting. It's got. I'm sure if you were in the Guard or in the military and serving your country, you'd be a little offended at being vetted yet again. But in today's day,
Well, that's why I was confused. That's why I asked if they had intelligence that there was someone inside the National Guard who was going to
I think
defect
there'll be an overabundance of caution because of people who are inside, off-duty cops and other people, former vets.
Well, we don't know what they're finding from the Capitol situation as well. If they're finding things that raise concerns, then they're going to be all over it with everybody. Obviously something went wrong.
And you know what? If you're fine and just get vetted and shut up. Sorry. Just be part of the solution. Don't be part of the problem. Don't take a stance that you're offended because you have to get vetted. If you have nothing to hide and you're doing nothing wrong, it shouldn't be an issue. That's my take on it.
Yeah, like I said, I think Inauguration Day will be pretty uneventful.
Well, it's going to be small, right? I mean,
yeah, I think there's going to be a swear. Are they going to be swearing in on the Capitol steps like normal? I don't know what
virtual.
It's virtual.
That's what I thought too. So Biden, I'm guessing Biden's going to be at a remote location.
Yeah, there's going to be nothing to see, so there's going to be no real reason to congregate.
Well, but that also could be the concerning part too.
I mean, it's probably going to be small already with COVID, and then what happened? And what happened on the 6th? Just said, okay, we're just doing this a quick virtual in and out thing and get on with the business of the country.
Didn't they find some guy? I think it was Saturday on the outskirts of DC somewhere that was found with several hundred rounds of ammunition. And
yeah, they arrested him at the headline I saw was a checkpoint.
Yeah, checkpoint.
I'm not sure where that checkpoint is, but yeah, somebody with a bunch of guns and ammo was detained.
Yeah. So.
Which is good. That's why you have the National Guard out there.
Yep.
All right. Sounds like Laura's on the phone with Keith.
He is there.
All right.
All right. Back in 20 here.
My shoes. We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
This is the Guy Gordon Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
I would like a pardon from the President of the United States, said Jenna Ryan, a Texas real estate agent charged in the storming of the Capitol. I think that we all deserve a pardon. I'm facing a prison sentence I think that I don't deserve. Speaking through defense attorneys, others in the alleged rioters argue that they did nothing illegal. They couldn't have been trespassing, they say, because they entered the Capitol at the invitation of President Donald Trump. They want pardons too. Will they get them? Will it work? Let's talk to Keith Corbett, our former federal prosecutor and friend. Keith, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me on, Kevin. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. I was a little surprised when I saw this. I know the president's getting ready to issue quite a few pardons here in his final days, but I didn't think the people who stormed the Capitol would be requesting them. What do you think of their take that the president invited them to go to the Capitol and be heard, and that's what they did? So therefore, they should be granted pardons.
Well, I think they have I think the Lions have a better chance of winning next year's Super Bowl than they do of getting a pardon. The first thing is the president would have to acknowledge their underlying premise, which is that he had asked them to do this, and at least officially he's going to take the position he hasn't. And I certainly wouldn't want to go through an impeachment trial if I were to say now, oh, yes, I invited those people to storm the Capitol, and then have to deal with the issues of being impeached possibly in another month or two in front of Congress with that statement having been made either directly or indirectly by the party.
Others were saying that they were let into the Capitol. They didn't force their way in. They just kind of wandered in. Maybe they won't be getting pardons, but what do you make of it from a defense standpoint? Do any of the people that were inside the building have a defense? Can they say they were just following the crowd and nobody told them it was illegal to go in?
Well, you can raise any defense you want. Whether or not a jury is going to find that convincing strikes me as extremely unlikely. Clearly, the guards were overwhelmed. So the fact that they didn't barricade the doors, they had to go through the barricades outside. They pushed their way in. Now, some of the people who did nothing more than that may find themselves only charged with trespass as opposed to the people who broke into offices or removed property or carried weapons into the building. I mean, they're obviously facing much more serious charges. People who just sort of went along for the ride may be looking at a misdemeanor trespass, but I don't think they're going to be able to convince people that we thought it was fine for us to go in. I mean, that's the factual issue for a jury, but I would find it a hard sell.
Ignorance doesn't hold up that well with jurors.
No, I mean, I don't think it's likely that these people really thought it was fine for them to come in. I mean, they were part of a group that stormed the property, that forced their way into the doors, and whether or not the Capitol Guard said, come on in, or it's more like they said, please don't come in, but we're not going to stop. Well, that's not an invitation. So every case has to be taken on a individual basis because each one of these people get an individual trial. But if somebody's going to get up and testify that, oh, this guard tonight could come right in, I would like to do what the guard has to say, because I don't think that's going to be the case.
Right. So don't expect these folks to be getting pardons from the president. But the president is looking at issuing over 100 pardons before leaving office. What do you make of the large number of pardons that he's looking at? And do you think, how many do you think will be for family? And what about the idea of even a pardon for himself?
Well, it's become, going back to Bill Clinton, it has become common for a number of pardons to be dropped on the day a president finally leaves office, so that there is no political blowback for it. I think that pardoning himself is a problematic issue. It's never been done. So is it constitutional? I don't know. The biggest thing for Trump would be an admission. It's sort of an admission you did something you were guilty of, and therefore you're pardoning yourself. So what is he pardoning himself from having done? He says, everything I've done is perfect. I haven't done anything. So what's he pardoning himself for? As for family, I guess he could do sort of a presumptive strike and say, I pardon you for anything you might be charged with, much like it was done by Jerry Ford when he pardoned Richard Nixon. What the optics of that are going to be an interesting issue. Again, it's sort of an admission that you did something wrong. And in Nixon's case, I don't think that was in doubt. But I think in the case of Trump's family, they would argue they had done nothing wrong.
There were some theories thrown around that maybe if President Donald Trump was that concerned about it, he might resign a day early and let Mike Pence close out the term and issue Donald Trump a pardon on the way out. Seems highly unlikely, but from a legal theory, would that work if they had tried to do something like that?
Absolutely. The president's power to pardon is virtually unlimited. So that if Trump were to resign and Pence were to become president, then until 11:59 tomorrow, he has the authority to function in the role of the president and could dismiss a charge. I think, given the state of the relations between President Trump and Vice President Pence these days, that's unlikely. And again, it would have looked and smelled very bad, because the only reason to resign a day or hours before you leave office, if the only reason you do that is to get a pardon, again, it seems like an admission of guilt or culpability on your part.
You know, our old mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick, worked very hard and had a lot of people on his behalf try and convince Donald Trump to pardon Kwame Kilpatrick. And over the past 4 years, there's been talk about it, and people would say it was imminent and it was happening, and it hasn't happened yet. Do you think there's a chance that Kwame Kilpatrick could be one of the 100 or so people that Donald Trump pardons on the way out?
He certainly could be. I mean, as we said, the president's power to pardon is virtually unlimited. I don't know why those people had the impression that they were likely to get a pardon. It never seemed to get any traction. The normal process is to go through the pardon attorney's office, but Trump seems to be bypassing the pardon attorney's office and doing this on his own. So I don't know whether or not there was a recommendation from the pardon attorney regarding former Mayor Kilpatrick or any of the other 100 or so people that it's anticipated he may pardon. If there is a recommendation from the pardon attorney, it certainly puts them in a posture where they're less questionable than if it's somebody who hasn't gone through the process and hasn't articulated the reasons which are usually given for granting someone a pardon.
And as presidents make these decisions, is there much blowback, or is it they're on their way out? It's done. It can't be questioned. There's not much anyone can do about it. So it just kind of becomes a 1 or 2 day story, and then it's gone.
Right. I mean, Clinton pardoned a campaign contributor whose wife he was close to, and who was a fugitive at the time. There were a lot of people that were, I think that was Mark Richmond, I can't remember for sure. But there were a lot of people who were upset at the time, but it dies away because you're right. There's just nothing you can do. When the president leaves office and doesn't plan on going back to run again, what can you do? He's gone. And as I said, the Constitution vests that power in him with virtually no limitations.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if there'll be some surprise names on Donald Trump's list. His background with celebrities and being in Hollywood and having a TV show, and if there will be any names that come through that avenue. It sort of seems like a wild card on who might be on the list.
It is, but you have to remember one thing. He can only pardon people who have been convicted of federal violations. If it's a state violation, he lacks the authority to do that. So the only thing he can pardon people for is a federal crime. So that when he leaves office, even if he granted himself a prospective pardon, that would not stop New York from pursuing their tax charge against him, for instance. So it's not an unlimited power, but I think there'll be some interesting names on the list, and I'd be interested in perusing it when it comes out.
Yeah, if it's a state crime, you got to get your pardon from your governor. If it's a federal crime, you can reach out to the president. Keith Corbett, we appreciate it, as always, coming on and sharing your insights. Thanks for being on the Guy Gordon Show.
Okay. Have a good day.
All right, you too. We're going to take a quick break, check traffic with Michael Stetz.
Thank you, Kevin. WJR Traffic First, sponsored by the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit. When your commercial, industrial, public, or residential project calls for plumbers, pipe fitters, or HVAC service technicians, the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit connects you with the very best, highly skilled and trained union contractors. To get started on your next project, visit mcadetroit.org. In the city, some good news. That incident from earlier on 75 southbound at the Ambassador Bridge, the rolled over semi now cleared and the lanes are now reopened. And also in the city, road construction has the right lane closed on 75 northbound right now between Springwell Street and Clark Street. On WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel.
A few flurries, even a couple of light snow showers possible here this afternoon. Otherwise, lots of clouds. Temperatures holding rather steady to low to mid 30s. Mid-upper 20s tonight. Cloudy tomorrow, low 30s. Sunshine mixing in with the clouds Wednesday. Colder, upper 20s. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ken Boone on News Talk 760 WJR.
Hi, I'm Rick Edelman. The inauguration is fast approaching, and we can all expect new laws and regulations.
All right. I think I got all the buttons.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. Talk amongst yourselves.
Amongst yourselves.
So yeah, my wife is getting her second COVID shot next week.
Oh,
Ooh, that one hurts. I hear.
I know.
I know one person who got both, and the second one knocked them out for like 2 days.
So
Yeah,
is that, wait, the vaccine, you have to get two?
Yeah, you have to get 2 shots for the vaccine for it to work.
No wonder it's taking so long.
Round 1, and then I think it's 5 weeks later, round 2. Mike, is that about right?
Yeah,
It's within like 5 to 7 weeks or something that you have to get it.
I thought originally, in a perfect world, if we had the supply, it'd be 2 weeks. But yeah, I think they're pushing it to 5 because yeah. So, but yeah, she works at a doctor's office, so that's why she's eligible. And her boss, the doctor she works for, got the second shot, and he said that he didn't feel good the next day, but he took some Tylenol and it helped. But so he said, well, let's get you the shots these days. That way, the next day we don't have patients. So if you don't feel well, you can stay home. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's hit some people pretty hard, the second shot. Like I said, the one person I know was out for 2 days. They couldn't go back to work.
Oof.
I'd be interested to ask someone who had COVID and who actually got the vaccines as well, how bad you feel after the second shot as compared to when you had COVID. I mean, obviously it's probably a lot less severe and it doesn't last as long. But yeah, I hear that second shot is not pleasant.
I would agree. I don't like shots anyway. I don't think I'd like the first one.
No, I don't have a tattoo or anything. I'm not a big needles guy.
More mind over matter.
I want the sugar cube like they did with polio. That sounds delightful.
Oh man.
All right, let's see here. So, all right, Michael.
Yeah.
I have Kevin get you traffic at 27:30 there.
27:30.
All right, we're back in 30 here as well.
All right. Is Cliff still on the line?
Yes.
And I'm sure others will follow.
This is a little jingle.
Oh yeah.
Social and physical distancing can help save lives. Tell them they're safe and show your love and pride. Yes, we'll get through this together.
Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
This is The Guy Gordon Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
We're opening up the phone lines, 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. Give us a call right now. Cliff in Dearborn, welcome to the Guy Gordon Show.
Yeah, hi, Kevin. Keep up the good work there. Say, the gentleman a couple calls earlier, I believe it was just before the break, made kind of half my point, asking what questions are we asking the guard to vet them. I would be concerned of are we asking them who they voted for? Well, I really have no problem asking if I was a National Guardsman, who did you vote for? My question would be, when I tell them none of your blankety business who I voted for, what would their response be? What would happen to me? Yeah, they can ask me.
I would hope that's not what they're doing. And if you had said, I'm not going to tell you, it's none of your business, I would hope that would be a fine answer for the job that they're there to do. My guess is that, with today's social media and everything else, everything that's out there, there's probably some people who have some things posted online or out there in the public that causes them enough concern that they just want to talk to people or question them or vet them, if you will. I guess the details are what are important. I guess we don't have exactly what they're looking for and why. If there was something that led up to this, was there something that happened, and when the Capitol was stormed that causes them concern that they want to go back and double check who's who's in charge, with security.
I don't even really see how people are making two sides to that argument that Trump incited insurrection. It's a joke. To me, my opinion, it's a joke. The next step in their game plan, and who knows what's next.
Yeah, well, it's after watching what we all watched, it was difficult and it was trying and troubling, and we don't want to have anything like that happen again this week. We don't want that to happen ever again. So obviously, there was a security failure for that to be able to happen in the first place. So they're maybe siding on the side of caution. And going further than they would have to make sure that everything is going to work out and be safe on Wednesday and moving forward. But we definitely want to make sure that the Capitol is secure and public buildings like that are secure. So I don't know if you work for the Guard or you're in the military. I don't know if you're deeply offended by being vetted again or not. But in the times we're in, I think it's just something that we're going to have to put up with.
I will be curious to find out if that who you voted for is one of the questions, and I'll be real curious to find out if it was the people that said none of your business, what happened to them. That would be my concern.
You know what, Cliff? We will try our best to find out what the questions, what people are being vetted for, what the questions are. We'll try and dig deeper into that and share it with you. Okay. Thanks for calling the show. Let's check in with Charlene and Novi. Welcome to the Guy Gordon Show. Charlene, are you with us?
Hello.
Hello. Who do we have?
We've got Dean from Pentwater, Michigan.
All right, Dean from Pentwater, Michigan. Sorry I'm calling you Charlene, but go ahead, Dean. Tell us what's on your mind.
Hey, I just find it a bit offensive that we have a reaction to protesters that got out of control. The Capitol, we react differently than we react to protesters that get out of control in pick your city that burned this past summer. The people in the Capitol are no more valuable, no more important than the private citizens that had their buildings burned while we all endured a, quote, mostly peaceful demonstration. That's offensive to me that we have blown this up to the point where we're frightened that when we're trying to talk about the big deal and screening the men and women who are in the National Guard, this is insanity, absolute insanity. And I hope the public is smart enough to understand what an absolute dumpster fire political stunt this is.
All right, Dean, we appreciate you calling in. Let's check in with Gene in Livonia. Gene, welcome to the Guy Gordon Show.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
You had a caller on there talking about people, what their charges would be who entered the Capitol building.
Correct.
And he talked about them being charged with trespassing, if not any other charges.
Well, go ahead.
How can you be charged with trespassing on your own property?
Meaning that it's the public's property?
Exactly, sir.
I don't know because I'm not a lawyer, but my guess is that the rules that are in place, maybe I don't know. They were charged with trespassing though. I could see where failure to follow law enforcement's command or something like that. But trespassing is what they've gone with. That would be interesting. I think these defense attorneys are going to fight. I think many of them will actually prefer trials. They'll want a jury versus a judge to decide if they violated the law or not. And everything I've been seeing is that these defense attorneys feel like they have several arguments that they can make that laws were not broken. So it may be, Gene, that trespassing on your own property is not against the law, but I have a feeling that it won't hold up. But I'm not sure. We'll have to watch it. Thanks for calling. Let's check in with Jerry in Detroit. Jerry?
Hey, how's it going, Kevin?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Listen, I think the guardsmen should be vetted because you never know if they might be might be a Donald Trump supporter or sympathizer or tries to defend those who raided the Capitol, because you never can tell if any of these guys might be secret members of some militia group or the White Proud Boys or something. You never can tell, because you really think you can trust them, especially if they're heavily armed, and you never know what's going through their mind.
Well, I think after we saw what we saw, earlier this month, I think there's a better safe than sorry mentality going on. Whether it's warranted or not, and whether it hurts people's feelings or not, it's happening, and it's happening because they want to make sure that nobody does anything to help anyone who wants to act the way people acted earlier this month is in a position of security. They need the National Guard and security officers to be doing their job, and that's to secure the grounds and secure the people who work there and secure visitors that are in the area. And I don't know, there was some concern about the fact that people were already in the National Guard, that they shouldn't have to be vetted again. But I don't know how many years people have been in the Guard and what their state of mind is. People change. So I think if that's your job, then one of the things that you have to put up with is the idea that you're going to be vetted from time to time. I mean, it happens with spying. People become spies against the government, and so the FBI and other agencies, the CIA, they check into people, and people in power, they check into them. So that's what's happening, and I know a lot of people are offended by it, but I think the government in this case right now, in the state we're in, is just it's a better safe than sorry kind of thing. All right, Jerry, thanks for calling. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody who's called so far. We got much more of the Guy Gordon Show coming up. Right now, we're going to check traffic with Michael Stetz.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. It's the year-end sale at Mattress Firm. For a limited time, save up to $300 on top-rated mattress brands. Plus, get a free adjustable base with your $6.99 mattress purchase. Only during the year-end sale at Mattress Firm.
In Sterling Heights on M53 northbound before M59. Accident just reported there. That has you stop and go from Van Dyke. And downtown in the city, road construction has the right lane closed right now on 75 northbound between Springwell Street and Clark Street. That construction scheduled through January 29th. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Carpenters Labor Management Partnership Team. Hire the Carpenter LMPT contractors for your next construction project. Their workforce is the best in Michigan, professional, safety conscious, and craft trained for every project. Hire the Carpenters LMPT contractors today. Call 877-477-LMPT. That's 877-477-LMPT. Light rain early on tonight. Some flurries or snow showers possible. A low tonight of 29. Right now it's 35 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 1 minute.
The market is constantly changing. The Marketplace Minute keeps you up to date 1 minute at a time. Before your morning
Alexa, play Marketplace.
All right, that'll work.
Hello, kids.
I give you enough time, Mike?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that was perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, so Dean from Pentwater kind of got a free ride there because right as I went to push Charlene, she dropped and he called like at that second.
Charlene, Dean, just speak up, people.
Right.
Mike, sorry, Mike, I had a little delay in the beginning there. I was shuffling my live reads.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't have it pulled up, and I was trying to grab it before you got done with the recorded spot. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, I know.
So, Stetz, are you familiar with this pointsbet.com?
pointsbet.com.
You know, our next guest is from pointsbet.com. We're talking about
Sounds
online
familiar.
gambling. Must be one of those. I wonder if it's a place you can bet or if you.
I'm looking up right now. Bet.com.
To me, it sounds like DraftKings.
Yeah.
Because DraftKings, you can do like daily bets. Like DraftKings used to just be like daily fantasy games, but
This looks like it's affiliated with NBC Sports.
my guess is it's just an app that allows you to, place bets in real time.
Yeah, no, it has everything there. Just on the top of the page, it has points.
Yeah, it has NBC Sports.
Yeah, so that's probably their partnership or main sponsor or something along those lines.
Oh,
I can't wait for online gambling to be a thing in Michigan because it's so easy. Like it links to your app, you place your bets, boom, bang, done. Like it's so simple.
Boom, bang, done, you're broke.
You don't have to go
say,
to
that's
the
where I can see myself
casino and be around
gosh,
the crowd right now. Like, I mean, they really should pass it sooner based on COVID.
The one time I went to Las Vegas, I left my room to go get a slice of pizza. And in Vegas, you can't just go right to the door. You have to snake your way through. So, from the time I went and got my slice of pizza and came back to the room, I played a couple slots, played a couple craps games. It was about $105 down in about 20 minutes, and I said, gambling's not for me. This is just not who I am.
But did you ever get your pizza?
Yes, I did get my pizza. I said, I'm going to stick with pizza, and I'm not going to start gambling. And then years later, I was no longer able to digest cheese, so I can only half stick with pizza. So it's a story of loss all the way around.
Let's see that.
Yeah.
Cautionary tale.
Yeah.
I think having to drive somewhere to place money on a bet is good for me. I don't need it to be any easier. Yeah, it means I won't do it.
Or maybe stop and get pizza instead along the way.
Or stop and get pizza, yeah. Then it's a win. I'm more of a people watcher if I do go gamble. But that's why I kind of like the sports because you can make one bet and you get 4 hours to see if you won or not.
I don't like being in a casino. Like I just don't like
the atmosphere.
I don't like the element. Like just a bunch of strange people all crowded together.
In their 90s.
Yeah, tons of smoke to breathe in.
I like the buffet at the casino.
Yeah, the buffets. Listen, I'm a big buffet guy, so I mean, those are probably done now since COVID. Thanks, COVID. Appreciate it.
No, they gotta make it back.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe like 2022, but the buffets have to make a comeback.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a minute before
What'd you say,
buffets.
I wouldn't hold your breath. Yeah. I don't think they're coming back.
Or they would do it where you're served, like there's someone
Bavarian in or something.
Someone's manning each station as opposed to everyone touching the same tongs and like. If we
then everyone would feel like Vegas. That's fancy.
But I like with COVID now, everything I watch, like a movie or something, like I think of, like I see a crowd of people and I'm like, ooh, or like
someone steps outside and
like,
have a mask on.
Yeah.
Super spreader.
So much COVID. Ooh. Like it's changed how you see things.
Yeah. I think buffets will come back after concerts. I think buffets will be one of the last things that come back, but I think they will be back.
You should run a campaign on that.
Can I place an online bet on that?
Parsons for buffets 2024.
Right.
I'm going to give the people what they want. Vote Parsons.
If you made that bet, you'd get odds.
Everyone has those posts that say, I got the vaccine so I can hug my mother. No, I got the vaccine so that I can go to Golden Corral.
Golden Corral.
Chocolate on everything.
I did try it once. It was bad.
Did you say? I'm sorry. You said you liked it or you didn't, Mike?
I did not. I tried it out of necessity. I was on the road covering a fight, and it was very underwhelming. But it did its job. I got a meal.
I mean, to me, I see a buffet as more of a challenge than a meal. Like you're like, this is the time that this place is going to lose money on me, and obviously you always lose that. But I enjoy going down swinging.
What's better, regular buffet or breakfast buffet?
Depends what's on the buffet.
I'm gonna have to.
Golden Corral, you don't have to worry about it. They got everything on buffet, right, Mike?
Well, all right, Laura. They give you like a blind pass. Either you have to choose breakfast or regular whole meal.
Breakfast.
Like you have to choose breakfast. Yeah.
Kevin
I'm
Pat's
choosing
there.
breakfast.
How about just the meat buffet at what's those restaurants where it's 20 different kinds of meat?
Remember the Pizza Hut?
what?
Does anyone remember
Brazil,
the Pizza Hut buffet?
something? The what?
I'll think it over during the segment.
Pizza Hut used to have a mean lunch buffet.
Yeah.
On News Talk 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
It was supposed to change everything in gambling industry in Michigan back in March when the sports books were opened up and people were allowed to go to the casinos and gamble on your favorite sports team. The only problem was COVID. It put a damper in the excitement. Casinos were open and then closed and then opened with a smaller capacity and then closed. And it just hasn't had the impact that a lot of people thought it would. Well, now we are on the verge. Any moment now, online gaming will be legal here in Michigan. And here to talk a little bit about it and how it's all going to work and what it means is Patrick Eichner from PointsBet. How are you, Patrick?
Hey, Kevin. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. How's everything on your end?
Everything's great. Tell us a little bit about PointsBet first.
Yeah, absolutely. So PointsBet, we are originally actually founded in Australia, first launched in the United States in 2019 in New Jersey, which of course was the first state to go ahead and go live after PASPA was overturned, allowing sports betting to be outside of just the state of Nevada. So today we're operational in New Jersey, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Colorado, and certainly looking forward to and welcoming the opportunity to go ahead and launch in Michigan in the near future.
So I understand Michigan is fairly attractive and it has something to do with our taxes. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, certainly kudos across the board and applause to the Michigan Gaming Board for putting a model in order that really benefits both consumers and operators alike. Something you've seen going back to the state of New Jersey, from the state of New Jersey, putting a model in place that really encourages open, competitive marketplaces and ultimately allows consumers to get the best bang for their buck in terms of pricing and promotions and what have you. So in Michigan, you're going to see something very similar. It's an open landscape, it's going to have a lot of competition. And again, that goes back to just being an ultimate benefit for the consumer, because you'll have your choice really of, price and promotions and different things that you can go ahead and take advantage of at the various sports books that will be operating within the state.
So if I'm a gambler and can I bet in any state I want? Can I go to various states where they're operating and get a better payout or pay less taxes if I win? Is there an advantage to where I place my bet?
Yeah, so you definitely need to be within a state that currently has legalized sports betting, of course, to go ahead and place wagers. And then from there, it's really a matter of, for example, if you were using PointsBet, you could only use PointsBet in the states that I mentioned earlier. But there are, other states like a Tennessee or a West Virginia, for example, where sports betting is currently live. We're not operating there just yet, but a state like Tennessee or West Virginia, yes, you could absolutely participate in mobile sports betting.
And so, how big do you think this will be for Michigan? Michigan, we have 4 pro teams. They've been in the league about as long as anybody. We also have some big colleges. Is this something that is going to explode, or is this something that will be slow growth?
Yeah, absolutely. We're certainly hoping for the former. A nice explosion right out of the gate would be nice for PointsBet and the other operators looking to launch. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. When you talk about the state of Michigan, it certainly is a state that's filled with very passionate and very loyal sports fans across both professional and collegiate athletics. So certainly a huge opportunity, one that when fully realized, we look at Michigan to be $1 billion state once, sports betting gets underway and there's a bit of education around the consumers as well. But yeah, certainly a great opportunity, and those passionate, loyal fan bases absolutely play into it. And, a reason why ahead of launch here, we've gone ahead and we've aligned with 3 of the 4 professional teams, and beyond just, spreading brand awareness and trust and visibility. It's also to show, the local consumer that you truly want to be a part of their sports experience and their sports community, and do it in an authentic nature. Make sure that you are presenting Michigan sports fans with the teams and players that they care about, as opposed to, more national teams like the Yankees or the Lakers, for example. When you log on the PointsBet app, it will be specifically tailored for the Michigan sports fan and have, UM and Michigan State and the Lions and Tigers and what have you.
Yeah, and for those who haven't bet before, what will the learning curve be like? I mean, this is something you're going to be able to just put an app on your phone and hook it up to a bank account and be ready to go?
Yeah, so it really is a very seamless process in terms of going ahead and being ready to ultimately place wagers. But to your point, that the education behind it is definitely a steady and slow learning curve there. So, I guess my number one advice would be, regardless of the stake, if it matters to you, it matters. So, sports books out the gate here, and you'll see it across the board. It's not about winning clients and, ultimately cleaning out their wallets, because that doesn't go ahead and win for you in the long run. What does win is showing them that you care and establishing, a loyal and sticky client base, and really helping them in that process, knowing that sports betting is so new across the board. So, being willing to put out educational content and explainers on the sports betting 101s and what exactly it means for a team to be, a minus 3-point favorite or plus 220 on the money line, what exactly all of those mechanics mean, and really going through the process together. This is so new for everyone outside of folks who had been previously exposed to sports betting through Nevada. So in knowing that, it truly is, I guess, kind of a process across the board, and in trying to realize an opportunity, that certainly goes into the thought process before launching in a state where this is an entirely new ballgame.
Well, I guess if you're going to launching in front of the Super Bowl is the time to do it. That would be the biggest gambling day of the year, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. The Super Bowl is obviously huge for every American sports book, and certainly a good date to be ahead of. So let's cross our fingers and hope that that's the case.
All right, Patrick Agner from PointsBet. We appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks again, Kevin.
All right, have a great day. Right now, let's check in with traffic and Michael Stetz.
Thank you very much, Kevin. WJR Traffic First, sponsored by North Bloomfield Properties. If you're looking for a place to call home, let North Bloomfield Properties find the best place for you and your family. They also provide pre-screened quality tenants to their property owners. They love to match good people to good homes. Contact them today, northbloomfield.com. In the city, the entrance and exit ramps both closed due to construction on 75 northbound at Springwell Street. That construction runs through February 26th. And in Sterling Heights, an accident on M53 northbound before M59. That has traffic at a stop and go from Van Dyke. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel.
Mostly cloudy skies and cold here this afternoon. A few flurries, even a couple of light snow showers possible. Temperatures holding rather steady in the low to mid-30s. Mid-upper 20s tonight, cloudy tomorrow, low 30s. Colder Wednesday, a little sunshine mixing in with the clouds. Highs only in the upper 20s. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ken Boone on News Talk 760 WJR.
Welcome to Spotlight on the MEDC.
So, Stetz, what's up with the Lions?
Looks like Dan Campbell's expected to be announced, reports are saying, Wednesday. As the new head coach, and Holmes, the new GM, is talking to the media tomorrow.
And he's also from New Orleans, right?
No, he's from the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, Campbell's from the Rams?
Yeah, he was a college scout there.
So what do you think? What do you think of
I have a lot of questions about how they're doing things. I'm wondering how much say that Holmes had in the hire. And I think you're playing with fire if you're having an arranged marriage between general manager and head coach.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It seemed like it seemed like they were doing the coach's search before they hired a GM, which
Yeah. And I'm okay. I'm okay with
normally
that.
how it works?
Normally, in most cases, the general manager picks his coach.
Right, you would hire the GM first. Maybe they
Mhm.
felt like they had to jump on Holmes. Or no, Holmes is the GM.
He's the GM, yeah.
Maybe they
So-
felt like they had to jump on the coach before he entertained other offers.
But it's not clear yet, right? I mean, the GM was hired first. Campbell may have been his guy, right?
I don't think so.
No,
to be
who do you
honest.
think his guy was?
I would have thought he would have leaned towards Staley, the defensive coordinator of the Rams, who is now the head coach of the Chargers.
Okay.
That would have kind of put them in lockstep, same philosophy, ways of doing things. Not that it can't happen, but normally, I mean, imagine just putting two people in a room and being like, "Hey, you guys figure it out." What if they don't like each other? What if they have different principles and how to run a team? Like, that's a problem. It's a big problem.
That's what they do to me every time I fill in for one of these shows. They just say, "Get in there. We don't care."
You're on, Dietz. Hey, at least
you're dealing with Parsons again.
Yeah. Hey, at least we let you in off the roof here, okay?
Exactly. I do appreciate that.
Steve is
Kevin,
there,
you're
Kevin.
Okay.
You're giving me some good insight earlier because I noticed that your background your spot has changed, and you said you're in the same spot. You're just facing another way.
Right. And none of them seem to work with my Wi-Fi, so I don't know. But
By the way, Stets is after taking much abuse from you guys last week. I'm working on my office backgrounds. Some changes coming in the near future.
Nice.
I was going to say I don't see a green screen yet, but that's all right.
Yeah, the boring blank wall is soon to come to an end. I promise.
People have been asking. They've been excited.
Yeah, could be a big reveal. I mean,
Also, you didn't get the memo on boys wear black today. Laura, are you wearing a dark colored shirt?
I'm wearing
black,
gray, and maroon.
Okay.
I've got black tights on.
Okay.
Me too.
Come on, Stets.
You just can't see my black tights there.
Yeah. Oh, look, we're back.
This is the Guy Gordon Show on News Talk 760 WJR. Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
Do the Detroit Lions have a new head coach? Well, if they don't have one, they're getting closer. Here to talk about it is Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press. He's been following this every day, probably, day and night. Dave, welcome to the show.
It's been a long couple of weeks. You're absolutely right about that. But
yeah,
finish line is almost here, so that's good.
It's almost here. So was the New Orleans Saints loss last night important to us getting a coach locked down sooner rather than later?
Yeah, that'll happen this week. The Lions will make the Dan Campbell hiring official, barring something, crazy out of the blue. Certainly he's the guy that they've locked in on at that position. And my understanding has always been that they want to meet with the candidates in person before they hire them. So that's just a formality, but I assume Dan Campbell will come in here Wednesday. Maybe it's official Wednesday or Thursday. One of these days coming up, we will have a new head coach for the Lions, and his name will be Dan Campbell.
And what do we know about him?
Former NFL tight end. He played parts of 3 seasons up here in Detroit, was hurt for some of that. But, the Lions, they didn't get maybe the experience they wanted at both the head coach and general manager position, but Campbell did serve 12 games as interim head coach of the Miami Dolphins in 2015. He's been with the New Orleans Saints since, in sort of an assistant head coach role, coaching tight ends as well. And look, he's not a guy that you point the finger at and you say this is an offensive genius or a defensive genius. Great schematic stuff. I think he's going to have to surround himself with great coordinators, but the fact of the matter is he's a leader. He's a guy that, from the players that I've talked to and the coaches that he's been around, they seem to respond to him. He seems to have just a way with him getting guys motivated to play for him and for the team. So that's what the Lions had wanted after the last couple of years, and Dan certainly checks off that box.
Was that a problem with Matt Patricia? Because you would hear things that players were not particularly happy with his style of discipline, particularly. Is this going to be a drastic change? Is this something the players are going to respond well to, do you think?
Well, I think it is going to be a drastic change. I mean, we'll obviously have to see, how they respond to Dan. I mean, it sounds like everyone in Miami, it was a similar situation to this season, and maybe some different personalities. But when Dan took over for Joe Philbin in 2015, I had one player tell me that it was a point where, at the end of the season, they were kind of sitting around the locker room saying, well, why isn't Dan our head coach? He should be our head coach. They went out and hired Adam Gase, so different story. But I think he earned the respect of players, much like Darrell Bevel did this year, where they, it's just a different attitude, a different vibe around the team. And so, look, when you're the head guy and you got to have some wins, pretty soon off the bat to help that transition, that goes a long way. But I do think, Dan he's a former player. The way he carries himself, some of the leadership qualities he has, that should help him connect with the locker room.
He played here, right? Was he on our 0-16 team?
He was a part of that 2008 team, and that'll be one thing that'll be interesting to ask him, just what he learned from that, and being a part of that, the lowest this organization has ever been, to obviously he's trying to pump this organization up to the highest it's ever been, and maybe there's something that he learned from back then or being around that time that can help him right now.
So people who are in your business, when Patricia was announced that he was leaving and people started putting together like a little wish list, would Campbell have come up on a list of 5 names for, I hope we get this guy?
I did mention him on my initial list of head coaching candidates. I think I don't remember what it was. Maybe I listed 5 and then 5 others to watch. And I think he was probably in I don't remember if he was in the 5 others to watch or the first 5, but just, based on, he was a guy that had some interviews a couple of years ago. Again, knowing the Lions wanted a little bit of experience, in sort of his ability to command a room. I thought there was a chance that, he would be the hire. He certainly wasn't as sexy a name as an Arthur Smith or, a Joe Brady or, some of these other guys that have been hired across the league. But, I think for what the Lions want, he checks off a lot of the boxes.
So tell me a little bit about the general manager. Do you think that this was his guy? Do you think that this was someone the family picked? Do you think they came together and said this is the best move for us right now?
Yeah, I mean, Brad Holmes was a little more off the radar than Dan Campbell. I think that's fair to say. He was a guy that, frankly, until about a month or so ago, I hadn't even heard of him, didn't know who he was. But talking around the league to people connected with the Rams, just people that know him, just people that have seen him in action. He draws high marks for that. And the way it was described to me with this Lions search was that it was an arranged marriage of sorts. That the Lions went down these parallel paths of interviewing the head coach and the GM, and they found who they think is the right guy for both spots. A talented evaluator, a smart guy in Brad Holmes. That's going to bring some of the Rams scouting systems to this organization, and then a head coach that they think players will respond to. And, both those guys are going to end up reporting to Rod Wood. So it's a little bit different organizational structure than maybe what we've seen from the Lions in the past. So this definitely wasn't a case where, Brad Holmes hired Dan Campbell to be the head coach. They discussed that move in Brad's interview, but, I think it would be wrong to say that Brad Campbell is the one that's hiring the coach.
But in this case, they are both coming in together at the same time. It's a little different than the Caldwell situation where, there's this uncertainty of when can I pull the trigger? Can I pull the trigger? Or do I have to keep the coach? At least here, they're both coming in at the same time. They both have the same goal to win. And maybe that will be helpful from that standpoint.
And there's a little connection. I think both of them have good relationships with Greg Williams, a former NFL defensive coordinator. So I don't mean that they don't know each other. I've never met each other. I don't know where the relationship stands in that regard. But Dan Campbell was on the Lions list and Brad Holmes was on the Lions list, and the Lions ended up hiring both of those guys. They didn't hire one first and then allow him to run Brad first and then allow him to run the coaching search and pick his own guy. So this was certainly a Lions organized production.
how favorable would Dan Campbell be for someone like Matthew Stafford, who's has to decide his future, and certainly a new coach and new GM is part of that evaluating.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's sort of like with Brad Holmes, right? I don't know that Dan Campbell is a slam dunk of a hire. I think there's a lot to like about him, and it's fair to have some questions too. And one of the big ones is who he's going to bring in as his offensive coordinator and his defensive coordinator for that matter. But talking about Matthew, what is this offense going to look like? What do they want to do? I mean, that's, look, there's a couple schools of thought, obviously, when you make a head coaching hire in the NFL, and you can go get a Kyle Shanahan or a Sean McVay or, a Brandon Staley who was hired by the Chargers today. And those guys are sort of considered, the geniuses at their position, right? They're very smart schematically, and they do a lot of things to win games that way. And the Lions did not go down that route. So we don't know exactly how the offense and defense are going to look. And Campbell brings more to the table as a leader. And I think that's what the Lions, at least right now, that's what they wanted at that position.
And every new player won't necessarily have a connection with the Patriots.
Maybe the Saints and the Rams. We'll have to see how this offseason plays out. But you're right. I think the Patriot days are over, though. Hey, the Rams scouting system was built off. It's an offshoot of what the Patriots had because Les Snead, Rams GM, came from Atlanta, who has ties back to Belichick. So there's probably still some more carryover than people realize.
Well, it's a new year. We might as well stay optimistic. Let's hope that Brad Holmes is the right GM, and that Dan Campbell is the right coach, and the Lions have a drastic improvement quickly, and we can all celebrate. It was certainly fun watching the Browns get a chance to celebrate a little bit for a while.
Hey, the Browns and the Bills. I mean, you think about the Lions. Really in this sort of Great Lakes region. Those are a couple of franchises that have been beat down like the Lions for a long time. And they've found some success with new head coaches or new regimes, new GMs, young quarterbacks. And look, Buffalo's got a chance to play in the Super Bowl still. So if the Lions could do anything like either one of these teams in the next couple of years, I think Lions fans would be happy.
Lions are due. All right, Dave Burkett, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you again.
All right. Have a good night. Let's check in with Michael Stetz in traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed delivers quality candidates so you can focus on interviewing people with the right skills. Receive a $75 sponsored job credit when you upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
In the city, the entrance and exit ramps both closed due to construction on 75 northbound at Springwell Street. That's scheduled through February 26th. And in Oakland County, an accident on 696 eastbound after the Lodge that has the left shoulder blocked. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Gordon Chevrolet. Gordon Chevrolet sign and lease drives starting under $200 on select vehicles, 0% up to 84 months plus bonus cash. 3 payments up to $1,000 waived on select vehicles. Ford Road just west of Merriman and Garden City. GordonChevrolet.com. Gordon Chevrolet. Find new roads. Right now it's 35 degrees. I'm Michael Stetz, WJR News in 2 minutes.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Zayden, President of Women's Excellence. We specialize in midwifery, menopause, cancer services, and more. If you or someone you know is struggling with her health.
Stetz, see how I pre-interviewed you, so I had some questions for Dave?
What's that?
Did you see how I pre-interviewed Stetz so I could steal his thoughts and use them for questions for Burkett?
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Well, good show, everybody.
But I like that, listen, I think there's more to being a head coach than just, being on one side of the ball or X's and O's. Like, you do need to be sort of a CEO, and you do need to command a room, and you need to be able to be a leader, and you need to have great organizational skills. But my biggest concern with that is who Campbell's going to put together for as a staff. And that's like one of the biggest things that plagued Patricia early on.
Well, and if all these other teams were getting, top shot at coaches, do they get top shots at coordinators as well? Do we have, it seems like, a second tier of people coming our way?
I think there'll be some people, some coaches from the Saints staff that will follow Campbell over, and then we'll see how else it goes with the choices for offense and a lot of,
all right, y'all have a good
movement.
night.
Yes, I'm going to leave too.
You two talk amongst yourselves.
Yes.
Later, guys.